Speaking of her talents, and number 2 is getting the bugs out. Ash and his friends reach the Azalea Gym after spending 2 episodes in the town itself. But there's a catch. Ash no longer has Charizard with him because after the events of Charizard's burning ambitions. But Ash thinks this will be no problem because he now has Cyndaquil. Our heroes reach the Azalea Gym, and pretty soon, Misty gets a little worried that something might come down and attack, when suddenly she finds herself in front of a bunch of bug Pokemon. As many of you know already, she doesn't like a lot of bug Pokemon. She worries that it's a torture chamber, but she is proven wrong when they meet the owner of the Azalea Town Gym, Bugsy, voiced by Terra Sands. His specialty is bug-type Pokemon, and Ash is ready to battle for a Hive Badge. Team Rocket's there, but they don't do a whole lot in this episode. They're just there to serve as comic relief, especially when they get spewed by string shot by the insects thanks to Victorville's constant screaming. Ash's first battle with Bugsy is against Spinarak. Ash tries to get Cyndaquil to fight back, but it won't cooperate. So he saves Cyndaquil for later and uses Chikorita to fight off. And surprisingly enough, for a grass-type Pokemon, Chikorita was able to fight off Spinarak with no problem at all with her sweet scent. Making it to round 2, Bugsy sends out the evolved form of Caterpie, Metapod, and Chikorita stands no match against Metapod, thus having Bugsy win the second round. By round 3, Ash has Pikachu fight against Metapod, and Pikachu was able to fend off Metapod's attacks with Agility and Thundershock, thus giving Pikachu the winning streak. Round 4 is up, and Bugsy saved the best one, and his next Pokemon is a Scyther. Pikachu tries its best to fight off Scyther, but he uses Fury Cutter to beat off Pikachu, giving Bugsy the win for the 4th round. And by that point, it's a tie match between Ash and Bugsy having 2 points. Round 5 rolls around, Ash decides to use Cyndaquil. Once it finally got its flame going, Cyndaquil is ready to fight. After some minor setbacks, Ash comes up with a strategy that even Bugsy couldn't think of. Cyndaquil jumps up over Scyther, who's using Swords Dance, and attacks him from up above, thus making Ash the victor of the battle, and he earns the Hive Badge. I must say, if Ash didn't come up with the idea to fight off Scyther, he probably would have lost. As our heroes leave Azalea Town, they realize they forgot to get their new Pokeballs from Kurt, the Pokeball expert. Luckily, her granddaughter, Maisie, voiced by Carrie Williams, shows up at the last second and gives them their new Pokeballs. 2 lure ones and a heavy one. You see, in an earlier episode of Going Apricorn, Maisie showed Ash and his friends how Pokeballs are made from the apricorns that Kurt uses to make Pokeballs. And I guess that all the hard work paid off for Ash winning the Hive Badge to get those. I'm glad they resolved the Pokeball solution near the end, even if we'll never know what the GS Ball's about. Anyways, this is a great episode. It's great to see another episode where Ash battles for a badge, because we haven't seen one since fighting Flyer with fire, and we won't get to see another one until next season. Both Terra Sands and Carrie Williams were great as Bugsy and Maisie, and their personalities are flawless. And speaking of flawless, and the number 1 Pokemon Johto Journeys episode is Tricks of the Trade. A shout out to Zach Wolf, by the way, because this is one of his favorite episodes from this region, and it gave us an introduction of a Pokemon that would be a part of Team Rocket for years to come. Ash and the others find themselves at Pompona, where they meet Benny and his Wobbuffet, both voiced by Casey Rogers. Benny is planning to take his Wobbuffet to the town's annual Pokemon swap meet, seeing as he's ready to trade him for a new Pokemon. Meanwhile, Team Rocket is not far behind, preparing their Pokemon for a new day, where Meowth tells them about the upcoming festival. And so they devise a plan to create a trading machine that will fool the townspeople to thinking they will trade their Pokemon, but they're just trading their Pokeballs for empty ones. In the midst of all this, there's also a Tauros tournament going on, and Ash decides to enter. So he contacts Professor Oak if he could borrow one of his Tauros. Professor Oak agrees, but on one condition: if he trades Heracross to his laboratory for further research. And unfortunately, that's where Heracross will be for the rest of the series. Which is just as well, because Bulbasaur can't stand to be attacked by it every time he and a Heracross are out of their Pokeballs. Ash enters the Tauros competition, and here's a surprise: he actually beats the strongest opponent with a Tauros. Benny is having a difficult time trying to find someone to trade his Wobbuffet, so Ash and the others decide to help him. In the midst of all this, Misty Psyduck comes out from her backpack, and it catches the eye of some Pokemon trainers who tempt her to trade her Psyduck. Is one of them Tracy? But Misty refuses, because 1, she was getting crowded, and 2, Psyduck may be a part-time pain to her, but his psychic attacks have been a good help. Ash and Brock find a trainer with a Stantler, and acting like salespeople, they convince him to trade a Stantler for Benny's Wobbuffet. Despite them succeeding in convincing someone to trade, before the exchange can begin, the trainer forfeits in preferring to have a flying type, and he skedaddles. Meanwhile, while James is carrying off with the money he got from selling snacks, he bumps into, of all people, the Magikarp salesman. The same one from the St. Anne. The salesman tries to convince James to buy the Magikarp like last time. It almost works, but James quickly catches on and realizes that he's the same swindler who tricked him before and goes after him. During the chase, they charge into Jessie, and she flies off near the exchange machine where Benny is and unintentionally trades her Lickitung with Benny's Wobbuffet. When James loses sight of the Magikarp salesman, the townspeople soon realize that their machine was completely a phony. They do their motto with a Pokeball twist, and they tie up our heroes and they try to suck up the rest of the Pokemon. But with the help of their Tauros, they beat them up and send them flying to a nearby forest. Scyther helps them out in the ropes, but they discover that all the Pokeballs are empty, meaning that Team Rocket has double-tricked them. So Ash and his friends go after them. But Team Rocket's ready this time. At that moment, Jessie realizes the awful truth. She had traded her Lickitung for Wobbuffet. Despite Chikorita hurting Wobbuffet with her Vine Whip attacks, Jessie reads in the book that there is one attack that Wobbuffet can do, which is a counterattack. And he takes the Chikorita's Vine Whip and Razor Leaf's attacks. Makes sense seeing as Wobbuffet is a Psychic-type Pokemon. And it's here where we see that Wobbuffet salutes for the first time. But one thing he didn't catch on was that he is not immune to Pikachu's electric attacks, which sends Team Rocket and Wobbuffet blasting off again. As the sun sets, Ash and the others return their Pokemon to their rightful owners, and they see Benny now as a Lickitung for a new Pokemon. You know, I don't think Jessie liked Lickitung all that much. And I must say, despite it being an accident, I will say it was the right decision for her to trade her Lickitung away for Wobbuffet. So from then on, Wobbuffet became a permanent member of Team Rocket. Bottom line for the episode, it's not only action-packed and a great introduction to Wobbuffet, but it's also very funny. You get to see Psyduck being his usual comic relief self, which didn't happen very often in the Johto journeys, the return of the Magikarp salesman, and Ash even gets points for winning a match with Tauros against another Tauros. So there you have it, my top 5 favorite Johto Journeys episodes. As I'm recording this, Pokemon TV is still in the middle of it, so we're not in the Johto League Champions yet. But until we get to that, we'll have to wait for the top 5 for Johto League Champions. So please be patient, okay? But anyways, what are your thoughts on the Johto Journeys episodes? Feel free to let me know in the comments. Until then, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Adios, amigos!